All right. Top of the morning, everyone. So last time when we were here in class, that was now before we wrote the test and the test on elementary stuff of grade 10 trigonometry. We were busy with general solutions and also specific solutions. That is the theory that we dealt with. And now we're just going to look at these example questions. I am going to give you more examples, but I want to refer to you as these are stuff that we should aim to score this marks. Almost like a match that you are playing. No? Your mathematics question papers, paper 1 and paper 2 is almost like a match that you should play or a game, and you should be strategic about it. Like for example, paper 1, when we go through the algebra, there is first question is always going to be in a standard at the end of the year is going to be solve for x. No? And the first one is going to be a straightforward one where you can factorize, or where you use one of those. Then you're going to get someone that a one that is a little bit more difficult to solve, which says solve correct or leave your answer correct or 2 decimal places. Then you're supposed to know you're either going to do what? One of two things. The most obvious thing is going to be to do the quadratic formula. If you don't know the quadratic formula, you can also do completing of the square. All right. And then you're going to get, after that, we get simultaneous equations. Now, I consider general solutions as simultaneous equations because it ranges from at least 4 marks and it can get up until a maximum of 8 marks. In grade 11, you might be lucky to get 7, 6, 7 of, I would not say 8 marks, but 6 or 7 marks if you get it completely right. So that is a lot of marks. And therefore we need to make sure that we score those marks, all right? So when we look at this, and it's not necessarily difficult questions, it's just a lot of steps that we need to go through, no? And when we go through it, we need to make sure we get everything right. So a lot of the mathematics that we have been doing gets used now and it's useful here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to solve the trigonometry function or the ratio. All right. So the first thing is, before you even go there, I'm gonna write my thinking process in red, and I start with a cross because I'm a holy person. I'm a Christian, I believe. No. So on the cross, this cross actually has a different reference now. On the cross there, we are looking at what function? Sine. And sine is negative. So where is sine negative? Third and fourth quadrant. So that indicates to me in which quadrants I will be working with. Then the next step is to isolate that. And then we're going to determine here to the side the RA. Now what does RA stand for? Yes, reformed. No? Reference angle. And then how do we determine the reference angle? We go to our calculator. I want everyone to sit with your calculators as you are doing this. You go to your calculator, you type in shift and then and you indicate the step for yourself. Shift, second function, shift and then the sign. If it was cos, you do so. And then you're going to do what? You're going to type in 0,25. Make a note there. We always work with a positive. We ignore almost like the negative number there because we already identified the quadrants. So always use positive values here. Positive values. Yeah? Always use positive values. And then we get our reference angle, which is, can I get some help here? The reference angle is 40. 1, 4. All right. 1, 4, comma 4, 7. And remember, we don't round off. No? So what is it? Is it 4, 7? Yes. All right. So we don't round off here. What do we do now? We store this answer. Now, all of this that I'm doing in red, you can also do in pencil. The black is your pen, your ink writing. All right. So we store this answer and we also write down for ourselves maybe you store it as A, you store it as B, you store it as this answer I'm going to store as A on my calculator, and we know how to store. If you don't know how to store, you can go check out Mr. Lacordia's YouTube channel. He shows you there's some neat tips and tricks. If you picked up something there, go give out a shout out, and yeah, visit the channel. Now we work with this, all right? But in which quadrants are we working? Now we go back to that. We are working in quadrant, so we can write here Q3. No, I'm going to do it not side to side because I'm going to do the next one there. So I'm going to do it underneath each other. So I'm going to say this angle, which is 3x, is equals to, in quadrant 3, we'll always say 180 minus the reference angle. But the reference angle is here, 14,47 degrees. All right. And then I'm going to say plus 360 n. No? Why do I do that again? Because we're working with a general solution. Where does this 360 come from? It is the 180 plus third quadrant. Thank you. 360n, what does that come from? It's the normal period for the cos and sine function. So normal period of sine and cos. Normal period of tan is 180. What does that mean? If you look at graphs, it means that is what it takes the normal function to complete its cycle. All right. So, and then we're going to say n is an element of integers. So this is general solution. So we're going to, now we just solve here 180 minus, you can type it on your calculator, minus answer A or answer B or whatever you stored it as. Can I get an answer there? Anyone? Hmm? 194,47, right? Plus 360 n. N is an element of integers. Then we have 3x. But have I solved x yet in the third quadrant? No. So my last step will be to divide by 3. So therefore is going to be x is therefore going to be equals to this now divided by 3. So you can just take this answer that you get there and you divide it by 3. And that's going to be plus 360. 360 divided by 3. I think 120. 120 there. And then we get n is an element of integers. All right. So up until here, we will probably get 2 to 3 marks. So let's say 3 marks here, and a full one like this can get you up to 6 marks. All right. So we are already on 3 marks here. We need to score those other 3 marks as well. What is our answer here? 64,82. That is rounded. Okay, so it still is the same. So let's keep it as 64,82. Then we are going to work in Q4. Once again, just to point out to you why these specific quadrants that we're working with, because we go to the question asked, where is sine negative that? Okay, so then we're going to say 3x once again is equal to, we basically repeat this, but now we're going to say in the fourth quadrant, 360, well done, minus 14,47 plus 360 n, and n is an element of integers, and then we go through, so then it's going to be x $345,53, that's still not rounded, plus 120, no, still plus 360, no? Plus 360n because we haven't divided there, plus 360n, and n is an element of integers, and then in our final answer. Therefore, we're going to say divide this answer by 3. So what is our answer? 1 1, comma. We can round off 1 8. All right, but you round up in your head, no? And I want you to do me a favor now. So I'm gonna round off here because it's my final step. Plus 360 in, and n is an element of integers. Now I'm going to show you how to check your answers on a calculator. So what you do, say we already stored answer A. You can do this in pencil now. You store this now as answer, not the rounded answer, the full answer. Let's go store this as answer C. Are we good? No? Store that. You know how to store? Quickly store that as answer C. And then if you can go back to this answer, not the rounded answer, 120. Thank you. Let's just correct that. So that's 120. And then also this full answer, you store it as answer B. Now you can use any letters, but I'm just showing you so that you can remember. But not the rounded off answer, any mistakes? Everything right? Yeah. So what is the? So it's supposed to be 2. And this answer? Divide by 3. One one. All right. So this answer, quickly just look at the change there. This is 114, comma 17. That's why we don't round off until the final step. Okay. This answer you store as answer C, not this answer here. Not this answer rounded off, the whole answer. No? So what is that whole answer? 114,174,1626. That one. You store it, and then what you do is, all right, now I need to think. Yeah, this is a little bit difficult. Okay, so what you do now, to check. This is, in essence, an equation. So if we want to check and we did everything right, we can substitute the value of x into that, and then we're supposed to get 0,25. You understand? Go to your calculator. No? You have stored this as answer C. You have stored this as answer B. Now you go to your calculator. You type in sine 3 multiplied with, open a bracket. You're going to put alpha B. You were supposed to store that on.
I was talking.
Okay. All right. And then you store, so you've checked that answer, and then you check that answer. No? And then you know, do you get negative? Okay. Are we good? Not good. All right. Can I get a calculator quickly? Then I will make this available on the channel. You can watch it again. Let's see if I can get this on screen. All right. So we have here 180. Sorry. So the first thing that we're going to do is the sine shift. I'll be with you in a sec. Shift sine 0, comma. Okay, I'll check now. So this we take then shift and store, and then we store that as answer A. Okay, and then we're going to say 180 minus alpha A gets me to 16. No, I'm supposed to say plus. Plus 180 is 19447. All right, and then we divide that by 3, and that gets me to 64,82. But that's supposed to be 83. If I round it off, final answer is supposed to be 83. All right. And this I'm supposed to store as B. All right, and then we're going to say 360 minus alpha A. Once again, we get that answer is 345,52, and we divide it by 3, and then we get 115. Yeah, so that answer is 115. No? Then you store that as shift, you press store, and you store that as C, and so it's 115. No? And now the final step to check, remember, look there, the question was sine of 3x is equals to 0,25, negative 0,25. So we go now to our calculator, and then we type into our calculator sine 3 multiplied with alpha b, and then we get our answer, which is negative 1/4. No? And if we check for the answer of C, you can, there is alpha C is also negative 1,4. All right. So I will make this video available for you guys to see. But I hope you guys all followed. Why am I showing you this, guys? Like I say, this ranges from 4 till 7 marks. No? And we can't go and we see 6 marks, let's say an estimate of 6 marks, and we say, no, I'm not going to do this question. That is the questions that we need to be hitting. That is the goals that we need to be scoring. So we can't just say, if the question paper is 100 marks and you're throwing away 6 marks, and maybe let's say there's another question of 6 marks, your 90% is gone. You're not going to get a 90% if you're not aiming for these goals. All right? So it is going to take these type of questions. It's not difficult questions. It's questions where you can score marks, but why does learners keep them? Because they know it is taking some time. It goes procedure. So how do you become excellent at something? Practice, practice, and practice. All right? So let's look at this one. I'm not going to explain this one so in detail. Like I'm not going to do the calculator steps and all of that. Is the microphone still on? All right. So I'm not going to do the calculator steps, but I want you to follow. No? And check on your calculator with me. All right. So we're going to do first step here. Help me quickly. So I'm going to determine the establish in which quadrants. Do this, what I'm doing in the red, you do it in pencil. No? Everything else you can write in pen. Cos is going to be first and fourth. That is the quadrant where cos is positive. So we're going to work with that. So that is in the back of my mind. Then I have the reference angle is equals to, how do I do this on a calculator again? Shift. So we can indicate this as cos, like that. No? Cos to the power of -1. And you write there 0,3. You type in your answer. And let's store this answer summa as D. Because maybe at the end of the question paper, you want to check all of your answers. So let's store this answer as answer D. And write this down for yourself, because at the end you will be looking for, where did I get these answers in? Where is this answers coming from? So there we store it as answer D. So answer D is 72,54. All right, let me just fix this. This one answer was 115. All right. So remember, we don't round off. So we write there dot dot. Yeah, because it's not a rounded off answer. You store it as answer D. Now we're going to work in quadrant 1. Quadrant 1 is very easy. It's just going to be this that is standing here, and that is x minus 10 degrees is equals to, what do I do? the reference angle. So that's equals to 72,54 plus 360 n, and n is an element of integers. Am I done? No, I solved this. Sorry, I just need to take the 10 over, so it's going to be x is equals to 82. Remember the 10, if it goes over, it becomes, we're doing inverse opposites. So it becomes 82, comma, 54. Let's do the rounding here. What is the next number after the 54? So the next number is less than 4. What is the third number? 2. All right, so it stays 54. I think this one here, that should round up to 3 if you round it here, because I saw the answer was 825. So that means this one needs to round up. Okay. Then we're going to say plus 360 n, and n is an element of integers. And then we're going to the next quadrant, which is quadrant number 4. What they do, I don't want, there is a way of how we can work with cost. The people normally say plus minus, no? Because it gets you to the same answer. But for consistency's sake, I'm not going to show you that now. Maybe I can show you next year or later in the year. So we're going to say x minus 10 is equals to, in the quadrant 4, we are always working with 360 minus the reference angle minus 72, 54, which I stored as d, plus 360 n, and n is an element of integers. And then we first determine that, and then we add a 10 to the answer. So what do we get? Any mistakes up until this point? I'm asking you guys to check the calculators for me. Okay, and then we add 10. So it's 287. No? 287. Then we add a 10. So it's probably going to be 297, 46. Round it off, your answer. 46. 46, and that is equals to. So there's your answers. This one, anything from 4 to 5 marks. No? So, like I say, we can't be leaving out these type of questions. Important to score those marks, so make sure you get all of the marks there. And don't go and be lazy and throw away unnecessary marks. Yeah. Right. So, guys and girls, I think what we can do now is go to the textbook and do from the textbook some practice exercises on this. Okay. So then what is the other thing? I am not done marking yet. So as soon as I'm done marking, I will give you your class test back to you. So so we can now practice some of these in the textbook. I'm going to ask the guys to hand out the textbook, and then we take it from there.